Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Just wanted to touch base with you again. It's hard in our industry to find contractors that can not only do a good job, but get back to you in a timely fashion, get you a professional quote in a timely fashion, be very close on their quote, be able to help identify possible problems. And when I come across contractors like that, I like to bring them to you so that you guys have a better understanding of who you can choose. I always go for people I know, like, and trust, and I've got experience with them. Michael's one of those guys. I wanted to introduce you to him. This is Michael Flory. Michael, tell them what kind of projects you guys get involved with.
Well, so most of the stuff that we get into are usually smaller bathroom renovations, mud rooms, and then occasionally, if the schedule permits, we do full kitchen and full house renovations, Eddie. So depends. I work a lot with real estate agents and work with a lot of people who are either picking up rental properties and needing something done before they have a tenant move in. So that's primary focus.
So if somebody came to you and said, hey, Michael, I'm looking to get vinyl siding put onto my house, is that a project you guys would be able to take on? Is that something you're familiar with?
I can do vinyl siding, and that's actually a project that I just recently bid, but I try to stay away from at least exterior larger projects like that. I'm just not as efficient, and like roofing, flashing, I can do all of that. And I think for especially, like, I have a job here coming up in a few weeks where I'll be doing just siding repairs, putting in a window. But if you're going to do like a full scale project, it's more economically efficient to have a company that specializes just in that.
That's not quite in your wheelhouse then.
Yeah. Well, in terms of a full house siding repair,
right.
No, I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah. And I have contacts that I refer out for that.
Sure.
But if people are trying to get a cohesive quote to cover a handful of smaller items instead of piecemealing it out to a bunch of different contractors, that's where I step in.
Right. Well, and that's also good for people to be able to know is that not all contractors are going to be able to do every kind of job available to you. So it's nice to know that you've got somebody who's going to be forthright with you and say, hey, listen, that's not really what I'm going to be able to do for you. I'm more in this different category. So when it comes to your projects, what are you currently working on right now that would give people an idea of what your work is like?
So one of the things that I've been doing right now is actually a basement renovation. And usually I have a lot of subcontractors that I know personally that I'll refer out for larger electrical and plumbing issues. But so I'll do I have a project, like I said, doing a lot of siding and window installs for 3 different houses. But I think that's coming up next week. But then I have another project probably about a month from now where I'm going to hopefully be doing a full kitchen and a half bath renovation. So I'm really comfortable with all different aspects of renovation. But I guess it's just whatever the schedule permitting.
Sure.
So
sure. Well, and when it comes to exterior projects, you also have a lot of other factors considered, like weather.
Yeah, so and depending if it's a new build or it's a remodel and the age of the building. So there's different specialties going into the age of the structure that you're working on.
Yeah, so like if you were on a project that, in Maumee where the building could have been constructed in 1888.
Oh, man.
You'd never know what you could be finding.
Tearing into it. Right. And I think that's another thing going into picking your contractors and building rapport with them. People who have been established will realize, hey, I'm going to have to pad a quote. I'd rather overcharge and come in under than have to go back to my client and say, hey, we need more money.
Right.
Because being able to adjust that coming down is a lot easier than going the other way.
Yeah, and you got to kind of budget for the unexpected of things that are going to come down the road.
Right.
I've got a close friend of mine who just recently got into a big kitchen remodel project. Their house was built in 1890, 95. Yeah. They ended up with a lot of things that they did not anticipate once they started cutting that kitchen, especially a lot of electrical concerns. So it's good that you're trying to, be on the forefront of that and trying to make sure that you're not going to have to go back to your client and deliver bad news.
Right.
It's much easier to say, hey, guess what? You're 5,000 under.
You're right. Yeah. And usually that sticker shock out of the gate, there's a saying in our industry is, do you want to pay now or you want to pay later?
Yeah.
And so it's like, real estate industry, there's usually a set price around everything. Yeah. And so people aren't going to get you out front. It's going to come in the tail end. Yeah. Luckily, I've learned the hard way in the former industry, which was in aviation. And I ran a bunch of work as a manager. So scheduling work and acquiring all materials. It's like you always want to take a full look at what this project is going to entail from the beginning to the end. Yeah. And hopefully try to compensate for all the unknowns.
Yeah.
Right.
So tell everybody company name and how they find you.
So company name is actually HAMIC Holdings Construction, and I'm not on any social media right now because I get too busy. And so you can just email me, and it's hamicholdings@gmail.com. And
we'll put your contact information in the remarks below.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Hey, so finding the right contractor is very tough. Michael is somebody I know, like, and trust. I would refer him to anybody. So if you're thinking about having some work done, Michael's a great guy to get in touch with. If you got any questions, get a hold of me. I'll put his contact information down below. Otherwise, hope you guys are having a great day. Take care.